the people who are going to use it, the people who are going to watch it. But always remember, there is order and a structure in the apparent complexity. The complexity which we see primarily, and we feel that what kind of things are these, we cannot understand this, but there is an order in that, and there is a structure in that. As for example, then as a lay person, we will see the cockpit of a airline. We might amuse at what kind of design it is, what kind of complexity it has. We cannot handle it. But for a trained pilot, there is an order in it, there is a structure, and that he can handle it comfortably. And what purpose it solves? It carries people on the longest routes in a short time and in a pleasurable manner. So design have a very purpose, and that purpose is to serve. The purpose which deals with some issues and gives some innovative and functional solutions. So design has a purpose, and purpose is to serve. Purpose is utility, it's usability, and that we have to keep in mind while designing. Whatever we are going to design, it should serve some purpose, it should have some meaning, and that should be there. Otherwise, the whole exercise is going to be very much futile. Understanding the very design of the things helps us in dealing with the same. When you understand the particular design of a particular thing or particular performance, it helps you in understanding the whole thing, and it also gives you a different kind of pleasure, knowledge, and everything. As we are living in the times of COVID-19, let's take an example of the same. Suppose the scientists of the world or medical experts of the world couldn't understand the very design of the COVID virus. Then what would have happened? The mortality rate around us would be much, much higher. As the scientists of the world have decoded the very design of the COVID, now we know the what is the size and what is the shape of the COVID virus and how we can handle it. So by understanding the very design of the COVID-19, our scientists, our medical staffs has suggested us to rub our hands with soaps or with alcohol-based hand washes every day, 4 to 10 to 20 times, so that we can defeat the very COVID-19 virus. So understanding the design of a particular thing can help you in many ways. And that's why designing is very much important. Now turn to the human mind and its functions, because human mind is supposed to be the most complex thing in the world. As we all know that the most complex wave of things are the human mind. We know a lot more now, but still struggling to find out how exactly it functions. But its functioning has 3 levels, as psychologists of the world retrace many times. The first level is visceral level, second is called behavior level, and third is called the reflective level. The very first is the automatic pre-wired layer called the visceral level. It's that it is part of all the animals and human beings also. When we react, not by choice, but reaction comes automatically. When the reactions of ours, after happening something to us or watching something that comes naturally, so naturally, that level of behavior is called visceral level, when mind reacts. The part that contains the brain processes that control everyday behavior, known as the behavioral level. When we meet particular persons, we deal with people around us, we deal with our family, we do something in our classroom, all these are the part of behavior level. And the completive part of the brain or the reflective level is the third one. And what it means that when we watch something, watch some event, whatever that is happening around us, and we sit back after and think about it, we reflect upon those issues, those particular incidents, what the behavior the other person has done with you. And when you reflect upon that level is called the reflective level. And my dear ones, I'm talking about all this reflective level only because all the art forms around us deals with this reflective level. Whatever we saw on a stage or in an art gallery or wherever there is watching a performance or watching a film, our mind works in the form at the stage third, that is called reflective level. We not only watch or amuse or get entertained by those things, but also we reflect upon those performances. Whatever we are watching, whatever we are seeing, whether that is musical performance, dance performance, theater performance, visual performance, cinema, painting, sculpture, whatever we watch, whatever we see, whatever we listen, we all reflect upon those things. So art, dealing with art comes at the third level of the mind, that is called reflect. That's why it's so important to talk about it. So we have dealt with the theoretical aspect of it, how our mind functions, how art comes into our reflections, how we deal with it. Now we talk about the practical purposes in the design. So there are 7 basic elements of design that we all know, and I'm just going to let you know. First one is, there is no order, first or second, but color, line, shape, scale, space, texture, and value. These are the 7 things which are very much important, which are the very essential and elementary thing of a design. Whenever you're going to design something on a piece of paper, on computer, or wherever, whatever the utility box you have to design your very thing, or you need all these 7 elements within the design. The next level is called the value of design. What value a design has or carries, why it is so essential for our performances, for any other things which we utilize. There is a great design scholar called Donald A. Norman. He has written several books, but one book I am mentioning you, that is called Emotional Design. And it's very important. He says that there are eight values of design which is necessary to ponder upon while we are working on a project, working on things or designing something, whether it's a performance or a sculpture or you are an architect, whatever. First, he says that is aesthetics. It should have aesthetics. Second, attractiveness. It should be attractive because this is a known fact that attractive things work better. Third is beauty. Fourth is function. Fifth is form. Sixth is emotion, which very much that person has introduced in the line of design. Seventh is utility, and eighth is usability, which I was talking earlier. So when we think about role of design in theater, we should certainly keep these things in our mind, or anything which we are designing. So after dealing with theoretical and practical elements of design in general, and their values and functions, utility, as I have said, we have to keep in mind while thinking and working on design for theater also. All our masters of design in theater have it in some way or other emphasized on these attributes of design and its functions in theater. I'm just giving some great name of the great designers in and around the world, which happened in 19th century, 20th century, and in our current scenario, whether they are working. They're Adolphe Appia, Edward Gordon Craig, Peter Brook, Hassard Sword, Bob Foley, Chris Tassima, Ian McNeil, Ali Willis, Wilfred Leach, Tony Walton, Oliver Smith, Santo Lacuesto. All these great designers have some time in their phase or in their career or in all the time of their career, they have used all these basic things for their designing purpose. Design is not only there where it is visual. We can see that design, it should be a visibility of it, but design is very much there where it is not visible. It's looks absent, totally absent. And for example, I would like to let you know that when you watch a traditional theater performance or even ancient drama or Sanskrit theater performance, you might not see anything on a stage, not any kind of set design or properties or other things, but there is a design also there. The absence of all these things is also part of a design. So design doesn't mean that you have to create something and you utilize it. You utilize it without even designing or creating anything. So designing the space is one part, and using the space is also part of design. So we have to keep it in mind. It means design is not just related to our modern theater, but it is also very much part of ancient theater. When we talk about modern day designing, and particularly in the 20th century, what kind of development it happened, we all know the term called scenography and the scenographer.
Excuse me, Prabhakar sir. We have 3 minutes for you. 3 more minutes for you. So that's
Okay. I'm just finishing. So in 20th century, there are a lot of scenographers which come on a stage and they have taken over the stage, and the kind of performances which they have made, even several directors in India, and we are very fond of them. They are great personalities. They have done great theater. But when we watch it through the lens of scenography, we must say that they are scenographers, not directors. They have arranged the panorama, they have arranged the stage in such a visual, pleasurable manner that we as an audience like it. It's very well. But this scenography has certain kind of pleasurable elements. It has aesthetics. It serves a purpose also, and it creates sometimes kind of meaning also. Scenography's purpose is also to create meaning, but it has a problem. The problem is that it transforms each and everything into a craft. The main important thing which comes in theater, that is an actor, but the actor is also a tool for these scenographers, for the designers. So in the early 20th century, there is a new wave of term that happened, and a new kind of designers came on floor, which talks about visual anthropology. They said, no, scenographies is one thing to deal with performances. We need scenographers. That is very much there. But that scenography is harming the very purpose of theater, because we are not focusing much on the main aspect of theater, like acting skills and all, but we are focusing something more on other design elements here. So these visual anthropologists, which came into frame in Western Europe, they say that visual anthropology is the way forward from scenography. And what it serves? It puts again the actor in the main frame. It deals with the actor and it goes with the actor. In scenography, you can see, like whenever we see now a stage, there was a permanent stage, permanent scenography, and all the whole play will happen around that. But what kind of developments now we are seeing? Now we are seeing that on stage, if a particular things is happening, that scene will come, emerge before the I have the audience, and it will go with the scene itself. It's not there. And many times it not ever stay there for the whole scene also. The design element will come and it will go. It will come and it will go. But for the part of scenography, it was not there. If you are designing a scenography, it means for a particular scene, it is very much there, always there. Or for the whole play, it is very much there, the duration of the play. But when we talk about visual anthropology, here it comes and goes. Here it comes, serves a purpose, it helps the actor, and it goes up. So this is the new trend which is happening in the arena of design, and that's all. That's all for me, for my introduction of the paper.
thank you very much, sir. I may not be able to allow anybody to questions, but whereas you can write your questions to me, so that I can communicate to Dr. Mrityunjay Prabhakar, so that we can initiate a discussion. And I am planning in my web page, which I shared to you, I will post there as a discussion, so that whatever your questions can be posted there, so that Dr. Mrityunjay Prabhakar will interact with you on that web page. And I really thank you, sir, Prabhakar sir. You have made us to understand the design travel and how the Sanskrit theater to the present contemporary theater, and you have given such a nice important messages, and you have given such a grateful designers ideas behind that, and I thank you very much. We will at 11 o'clock we have another session by Vishak Murthy. Those whoever have any questions regarding Dr. Prabhakar's lecture, you may please share your questions to either my mail or in the website so that we can talk together on the discussion panel itself. Thank you, Prabhakar sir. Thank you very much. I request all the participants to join the next session provided in there at 11 o'clock. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Prabhakar.
Thank you.
Yeah.